Chapter 51 The Journey to Egypt ends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a bit of a struggle, everyone wrote down their own answers. 5 hands came together, each holding a sheet with the same answer. River, written in different handwritings. Asterisk A river can run, but never walk, has a mouth, but never speaks, has a source, but never sheds tears, has a riverbed, but never sleeps. Star. Correct. Maudan nodded, excited. Want to keep playing? Uther glanced at his roommates, who all looked eager. Hairball, you're up, he said. After a year at Hogwarts, this was a good chance to hang out. Besides, Hairball was the only Sphinx he trusted not to attack if they got a riddle wrong. Some try to hide, some try to deceive, but time reveals all, and we always meet. Hairball rattled off the riddle without hesitation, clearly having stockpiled a few. Guess my name, and when I've got you, you'll know the answer. Cologne guessed a few times, but didn't get it. The answer was death, but Cologne guessed the end of your exam. Some try to hide, some try to deceive, but time reveals all, and we always meet. I think that answer kind of works, right? Bernard rubbed his forehead and chuckled. But Cologne, you aced the exam. Acing the test doesn't mean I like the test. Cologne retorted. He had a point. Hairball hesitated, then conceded that for Hogwarts students, the answer did fit. He reluctantly ruled Cologne's answer correct. This was a pretty chill Sphinx. Adam would call it an enlightened beast, though a similar creature in Chinese mythology was just X9, they guessed a few more riddles. Sometimes their answers didn't quite match Maudan's, but on reflection, they weren't exactly wrong either. In the end, all 5 of them got every riddle right before saying goodbye to Hairball, who waved cheerfully. The inside of the pyramid isn't all that interesting, actually. Entering the pyramid, Uther pulled lighting tools from his bag and handed them out. The only things of real value are the words and statues on the walls, but you can't read them. I'll translate. Wow, Uther, you're amazing, knowing so many languages. Cologne exclaimed. Even though Uther's family mostly spoke English, they still used Arabic sometimes, and now the walls were covered in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Well, it's all right, I guess, Uther said, the blush on his dark skin barely visible. He translated the inscriptions and explained the stories behind the statues. Some praised the pharaoh's achievements in life, others wished him a smooth resurrection. The wizarding versions of the achievements were an eye-opener for Adam. The overall hieroglyphics were designed to be beautiful and symmetrical as a mark of respect for the gods and pharaohs. They could be written vertically or horizontally, left to right or right to left, depending on the lines between the words and the direction the animals were facing. It's practically painting, someone said. Back then, only those who could write had access to knowledge, and those who mastered hieroglyphics mastered the deepest knowledge, magic. Uther stroked a hieroglyph on the wall, marveling at the past. Suddenly, he felt something. What's this? That he looked closer. It was the eye of Horus, representing the pharaoh in this passage. The eye looked normal, but Uther, intrigued, touched it again. He definitely felt a bump. He pulled his hand away. Why would there be such a strange protrusion in the pyramid's inscriptions, especially on the eye of Horus, symbolizing the divine and the pharaoh? It seemed deliberately hidden. Uther remembered that this pyramid wasn't built for tourists. He decided to ask his father about it later. Everyone seen enough? Let's head back. The rest was unremarkable, so everyone agreed. Back at the villa in Cairo, Uther announced he'd prepared Egyptian-style clothing for them, the cuirass he was wearing. They could change, and then his parents would be back early and they could all go boating on the Nile. Led by Uther's servants, everyone changed into cuirass, then waited for Uther. When he came down from the 2nd floor, Adam and the others swarmed him. Wow! That's why it took so long. Didn't expect clothes this fancy. Bernard tugged at Uther's belt, which was studded with turquoise and other gems, pulling him forward. Cologne pushed from behind. Now we look like your entourage. All right, we're all friends here. What's with the games? Adam summoned the dark staff. The spikes on the staff and the gems on Uther's clothes sparkled in the sun. You better have a good explanation, or you might be taking that boat trip tonight naked. At most, I'll leave you some underwear, Eugene added. Didn't you guys want to see me in Egyptian clothes? Uther protested, spreading his arms to show off his robe with gold patterns and various gems. Only my father and I get to wear this in Egypt. Isn't it special enough? So those are your final words. Adam, get him. Bernard and Eugene lifted Uther up, and Adam raised the dark staff as if to strike. After much joking, Uther changed into similar clothes as everyone else when they went boating on the Nile. Adam and the others might not dare to do anything in Egypt, but they'd be back at Hogwarts when school started. They might actually strip him down to his underwear. They spent 4 days in Cairo, 7 in Thebes, and less than a day in other cities. After nearly a month of vacation, they said goodbye to Uther. Before leaving, Uther gave each of them a roll of papyrus with hieroglyphs they couldn't understand. It's a blessing from Amon-Ra. Ra and Amon were the main gods of Heliopolis and Thebes, respectively, and were later merged. This roll of papyrus was probably some kind of diplomatic friendship letter. I look forward to tasting something from home at Hogwarts. Uther couldn't help but add before they left. No problem. After saying goodbye, they started their journey back. Chapter 52, Nicolas Flamel's Secret Vault. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After getting back to London and seeing the Hogwarts letter, Adam remembered he needed new textbooks. He'd nearly finished at Flourish and Blots before, but he couldn't face going with Gilderoy Lockhart promoting his new book. Adam had bought some of Lockhart's older stuff, even though the guy's main skill was the memory charm. The experiences he'd stolen were real and had some value. Lockhart was also a good writer. He could make those stolen adventures sound amazing, which made his books fun to read, like novels. When we hit Diagon Alley, I should check out Nico Flamel's vault. Thinking of Flamel bummed Adam out, and he set aside the Hogwarts book list. Another letter, that it was from Harry. Adam had written to him earlier, wanting to know which Snowy Owl restaurant Aries liked. Harry hadn't replied because his window had been sealed with iron bars. He was then whisked away to the Weasleys before he could send it, but Adam was already in Egypt. Luckily, the letter wasn't important. Harry was just excited to get Adam's letter and explained why he hadn't replied. He also went on about how amazing the wizarding world was. Hedwig's probably fine. Don't worry. Adam nodded at Aries. Who? Aries flapped his wings, still looking annoyed. His grandfather was tired, and his grandmother was still grieving, so Adam went to Diagon Alley alone. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to go to Flourish and Blots first. Buying books shouldn't take too long. He regretted that decision instantly. Gilderoy Lockhart. Autographed autobiographies for sale. Magical Me. Today 12:30 to 4:30 p.m., Adam stopped at the banner and considered turning around and heading to Gringotts, planning to buy his books after the signing. Adam stopped and turned around, surprised. Colin said something to the people he was with and ran to Adam. What a coincidence. Are you buying textbooks for the new year too? Yeah, but it's packed here. I'm going to shop around and come back after the autograph session. Lucky you. Your parents probably haven't read Lockhart's books, and your grandparents probably don't care for him either. Colin sighed. My mom loves him. I'm stuck waiting in line for who knows how long to get his autograph for her. That sucks. Yeah. Well, what can you do? She's your mom. Just wait. Colin looked disbelieving as Adam sighed. I'm not into this heartthrob thing. See ya. Adam turned and took off, ignoring Colin's cry behind him. Take me to secret vault number 4. The goblin looked up from his work, surprised by Adam's words. Adam stood in front of the goblin and let him get a good look. A gem glowed brightly atop the dark staff in his hand. Key, they'd never met, and Gringotts had no record of this person. But for non-private vaults, Gringotts cared only about the key, not the person. If someone had the right key, they didn't ask questions. Adam handed over the key, and the goblin checked it, returning it to Adam. "Please, follow me." Jumping down from his stool, the goblin sounded respectful. Single-digit vaults held incredible wealth and status, and even Gringotts treated them with care. They rode a Gringotts mine cart, passing through magical protections, past the thief-proof waterfall, and deep underground. Adam and the goblin stopped before a door. "The key, please." The goblin hung his lantern on a hook by the door, inserted the key, and tapped the door while twisting the key. With the sound of gears turning, the door to Vault 4 slowly opened. "I'll wait here." The goblin returned the key, bowing and stepping back, out of sight of the vault's interior. Adam entered the vault and looked around. Nicolas Flamel was right, there were no coins. Half of it was his manuscripts, but Flamel hadn't mentioned how huge the vault was. Adam picked up a single-page manuscript. One side held complex alchemical formulas and diagrams. The other had a colorful painting of a phoenix's rebirth. The phoenix looked familiar, like Fox. Putting the manuscript down, Adam quickly looked around. Some manuscripts were bound, others were loose, like the one he held. He'd sort it out later when he moved everything. Flamel's collection was eye-opening. Adam casually spotted something familiar. A pensive dot touching the stone basin that looked like the one in Dumbledore's office. Adam wondered if Flamel had made it or found it. There were also many Muggle items, dresses, armor, swords, golden cups, scepters. These had no magic and were probably here because they were special to Flamel. Most of Flamel's collection was books, mostly on alchemy, in many languages. There were also many books on mysticism. Adam even found several Bibles in the pile. Thinking the church might have something to offer, Adam opened the Bibles. He realized he couldn't read them, but they seemed different from each other. Adam selected a few items to take that day. He'd sort the rest later. First was a set of swords and shields made of fairy mithril. Adam thought they were cool and perfect for the sword and shield cards, so he sealed them with magic, ready to summon them whenever he wanted. The dark wand could become a sword with magic, and he could cast a shield without a real one. But the gems and patterns on these swords and shields were unique. Special. Awesome. Second was a shorthand quill, an alchemical creation of Flamel's. It recorded the user's thoughts and ideas in real time, just as the user thought them, with colors that could be changed at will. Flamel's manuscripts were made with this quill. It would free up Adam's hands while doing homework, letting him do more important things, like petting Shao Ku and SPI. Finally, there was a notebook of Flamel's notes on ancient scripts with mysterious powers, including Nordic runes, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Chinese cloud seal characters. Adam thought he could study it. The problem was, the notebook was in French, and he'd have to learn the language. Chapter 53: The Regret of Missing the Soul Testing Instrument. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After leaving Gringotts, Adam stood in front of the still crowded Flourish and Blots and realized he should have stayed in the bank longer. He'd been so blown away by the treasure in that vault that he forgot all about the con artist trying to rip him off. Luckily, the bookstore was less packed now, so at least he could grab his books. Just as Adam was paying for his new textbook, someone jumped out from the shadows. "Boo! Cologne, you're still here." Adam wasn't surprised when Cologne grabbed his shoulder. He'd already noticed Cologne get bounced by the shield anyway. "Yeah, Mom's still in line. Your aunt's still queuing." "Yep, the ones who've signed up already were here since dawn." Wow, Adam understood Lockhart's popularity a little better. "Hey, Adam, why'd you only get one book? Got the others already?" Cologne looked surprised. "You're into Lockhart too? His stories are pretty wild. Then I've got some good news for you." "Oh." Adam raised an eyebrow. "Did your Niffler finally have babies?" "Nah, not yet, give it a few months, chill out." "No, it's about Lockhart." "Okay." Adam sounded a little disappointed. "What's up?" "Lockhart's teaching defense against the dark arts this year." "Huh." Seeing Adam's reaction, Cologne deflated a bit. "What? You really don't care about Lockhart? Want to hear the gossip from earlier?" "Gossip? Spill it. Malfoy's dad and the Weasley twins' dad got into a brawl in here. Whoa. Adam's eyes widened slightly. He'd kind of guessed it seeing the banner, but didn't think it would happen today. He couldn't believe he missed seeing the Horcrux up close. He wondered, what would happen if he used something like the gum card directly on a Horcrux? Would Voldemort's soul turn into candy? Or what would other Clow cards do to it? Could he analyze the Horcrux's counter-curse? And so on. The diary Horcrux was probably in Ginny's hands, which meant there was going to be some major trouble at Hogwarts next year, the basilisk. Unlike Quirrell in first year or the trapdoor on the 4th floor, where you could just avoid those areas, the basilisk would be slithering through the castle pipes all year. There was no way to guarantee everyone's safety. If he hadn't gotten the Clow cards, Adam would be thinking about dropping out. But now, Adam started wondering if killing the basilisk early would cause some kind of ripple effect. Dumbledore was still around, so it should be fine, right? Hold on, if he captured the basilisk in advance, it should be fine, right? This basilisk wasn't born naturally. It might be the only one left in the world. Even Newt Scamander probably hadn't seen one. Isn't that insane? And they were just throwing punches. They even knocked over some bookshelves. Seriously insane. Adam sighed, regretting missing it. If he had the diary, he could control things so much better. Speaking of Malfoy, Draco and his posse were regulars at his shop. Draco was rich, and his cronies were always looking for handouts. In the books, he was a total villain, forced into redemption. But the movies seemed aimed at kids, and the actor's good looks made him popular, so they softened his story a bit. Like, in the books, Draco was never capable of killing Dumbledore, but the movie showed his internal struggle. Overall, Adam didn't have a bad impression of him, especially since, when he opened a restaurant, those pretentious nobles would pay big bucks for little extras with no real value. After paying, Adam turned to leave, but Cologne pulled him back. It's so boring here. Hang out, I'll buy you ice cream. Adam sighed and stuck around Flourish and Blotz for a bit. Then, they got some ice cream with crushed nuts before saying goodbye. Maybe the grocery store should start selling ice cream and other frozen stuff. Adam thought on the way back. After that day, time seemed to speed up. 1 minute Adam was buried in his books, the next it was almost time for school. Oh well, at least he could still pet cats at Hogwarts. After turning down his grandparents' offer to see him off, Adam got a ride to King's Cross with Mr. Reed. Hit the books, Adam. Hope your business does well. Mr. Reed joked before Adam got out. Adam had kept Mr. Reed and Mrs. Lee busy lately. People in weird clothes kept showing up at their store. They knew what to order, but they'd ask for stuff the store didn't have, and nobody knew how to do the taxes on all the money they paid. After some digging, they found out their son had a thriving business at school. That's my kid. Mrs. Lee was proud, but also a little worried about what her son was up to. It wasn't the academics. Adam's Allo transcript was proof enough of that. She just hated the cutthroat side of business, the purchasing, pricing, promotion, competition, etc. She didn't want her son exposed to that stuff so early, even if he'd have to learn it eventually. Even though Mrs. Lee didn't like school, she knew it was the purest time of her life. She didn't want her son to miss out on that experience, since he wouldn't get another chance. Mr. Reed was more optimistic. They'd come this far, and the kid was doing well, so they should let it ride. Who was to say a simple campus life was better? Chapter 54: A small incident on the way to school. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before the train even left, a bunch of the kids, who hadn't seen each other all break, were already crowding around Adam, swapping stories about their vacations. Hey Adam, why doesn't your restaurant have more stuff on the menu? Adam probably got that question more than any other. All he could really say was that everything he served was a specialty. The only question was, did people think it tasted good? The kids who dragged their families to his place agreed, it definitely did. Since Adam hadn't been able to do any magic at home to prep, he kept the shop closed. The group split up after the train took off. Adam and his friends headed to a common room in the dorm for a quick strategy session. Alright guys, I've been thinking. We totally picked the wrong time last time. Bernard leaned in and whispered, "Let's go at night this time. All 5 of us can take lanterns and look for mooncalf tracks in the moonlight. Talk about atmosphere. Aren't you worried we'll wander back into that Acromantula's territory again in the dark?" Cologne asked, looking a little green. He wasn't eager to repeat that experience. "We know where the Acromantula's nest is now, right? We just gotta steer clear," Bernard said, stroking his chin. "And we learned from our mistakes. When we didn't see any sign of magical creatures, we should have realized we were headed the wrong way." "Good point. Besides, we didn't see any unicorns, centaurs, or mooncalves last time. You guys aren't even a little bummed about that?" Bernard threw his arms wide. "And if things get hairy, we can always run. Or grab your broomstick and fly." That the other 3 glanced at each other and nodded. "Okay." Cologne thought it over. Unicorns and mooncalves would be cool, but he'd never even seen a centaur, and Bernard had a point about safety. "All right. Let's go check it out sometime." "Check what out?" The compartment door slid open, revealing the Weasley twins, their faces full of curiosity. "We were gonna hit the kitchen," Adam said smoothly, conjuring up a table piled with desserts. "What's up? You need something?" "Ha! Knew it. Adam, you're definitely hoarding sweets." The twins each grabbed a candy and popped it in their mouths. "Nah, just checking up on you. Oh, and we wanted to talk to you about our business plan after school starts." The Hogwarts book list had really put the squeeze on the Weasley family over the summer. Mrs. Weasley might like Lockhart, but that didn't make his books any cheaper. Every kid still at Hogwarts needed the full set, and with Ginny starting school this year, it was a serious hit to the family budget. The twins felt a real sense of accomplishment when they could cover Ginny's books without forcing the family to buy used, and sure, Mrs. Weasley gave them some grief about not studying hard enough, but the twins just soaked up the adoring looks from their little sister. Adam considered for a second. "Let's do it the first Saturday afternoon. I'm planning to roll out the first new product that day, too. It's been so hot, I'm thinking of making some ice cream." Adam's shop had opened late last year, and then it had cooled off pretty quick. By the time the weather warmed up again, it was exam time. It wasn't until he was eating ice cream in Diagon Alley during the break that he remembered he could make it himself. After the twins left, Adam figured the rest of the trip would be smooth sailing. Have the British wizarding community started working on flying cars? Uther was staring out the window, looking confused and a little dazed, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Adam, who'd been using a cat toy to play with Crookshanks, did a double-take and looked out the window himself. Sure enough, there was a Ford, bouncing through the air outside the window, or rather, in the air. It was wobbling all over the place, barely keeping pace with the train. "Whoa, that's awesome." Bernard's eyes lit up. "Why don't they sell flying cars in Diagon Alley?" "Probably because they're, illegal," Eugene said dryly. Of the group, Eugene was the one who knew the most about wizarding law. "Wait a sec." Cologne squinted at the car. "Am I seeing things, or is that Harry Potter in the car? And who's that with him?" "I can't quite make them out." Uther frowned. "Our savior really knows how to make an entrance, doesn't he?" "I don't think he's trying to show off," Eugene said, shaking his head. "He looks more terrified than excited." Adam kept out of the conversation. Seeing this scene reminded him of something he'd forgotten. After all this time, he couldn't remember everything. But he knew tomorrow morning would be interesting. "You said that's illegal, right? Do you think they'll get expelled?" Bernard asked Eugene. Eugene narrowed his eyes at the flying Ford. He thought back to the troll on Halloween, the cursed broom at the Quidditch game, and the suspiciously large number of house points Harry and his friends had received at the end-of-year feast. All those weird things added up to something. Eugene said slowly, "I kinda doubt it." He was right. They didn't hear anything about Harry Potter getting expelled. And the absence of the sorting ceremony told everyone who was paying attention that the other person in the flying Ford was Ron Weasley. Ronald Weasley. Mrs. Weasley's voice, amplified 100 times, echoed through the great hall. "Yeah, Well, now everyone who wasn't paying attention knew, too. The noise was coming from the Gryffindor table, but the howler was so loud that the silverware on the Hufflepuff table was rattling. What is that? Bernard gasped, seeing a howler for the first time. Is that some kind of wizarding flashbang? That's a howler. Its effect is pretty obvious. Cologne wiped his hands and turned to watch the Gryffindor table with a grin. He dropped his half-eaten potato into his mushroom soup, but that was a small price to pay for this kind of entertainment. Adam, who'd come down to the Great Hall because he remembered this scene, was watching too, even though he wasn't all that interested in breakfast. The howler went on, and poor Ron Weasley buried his face in his plate in front of everyone in the hall. Chapter 55 Badger is worried about you and made a cake for you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Maybe it was the buzz around school that morning, but everyone seemed in a good mood. Well, until the first class. Anyway, Ms. Abbott, I don't think the flobberworm's gonna slice itself, is it? Hannah grabbed the slicing knife, flustered by the sarcastic tone. Okay, Professor. Why are you staring at me? Waiting for me to stir your potion for you? Professor Snape narrowed his eyes at a student who'd spaced out and forgotten to stir. He scanned the classroom, pointedly ignoring one particular slacker, and strolled to the podium. I trust your brains haven't completely dissolved during the vacation. Otherwise, I'll regrettably have to find other ways to fill them back up. A creepy smile spread across Snape's face, making the students shiver. As it happens, I have a fresh batch of toads and slugs that need dealing with. Phew. I knew something was up the second that first bubble popped. Good thing I thought fast and remembered I forgot the shrinking figs. Tossed in quick, and the potion was fine. After class, Cologne exhaled, barely stopping himself from applauding his own brilliance. Otherwise, he'd have been another name on Snape's list of students to verbally tear apart. Bernard breathed a sigh of relief too. As Cologne's partner, he would have been collateral damage. Herbology was in the afternoon. Everyone hoped Professor Sprout's kindness would soothe their frayed nerves, but she looked unhappy. Oh man, did the school board find out Dumbledore was using school funds to buy candy and cut off Hogwarts' budget? Cologne blurted out. Otherwise, he couldn't imagine why Professor Sprout, usually all smiles, looked so grim. Don't talk nonsense, Uther frowned. Had someone messed with the professor? Turns out, the Badgers might keep a low profile, but they were efficient. When they suspected their head of house was being mistreated, they'd already gathered intel before dinner. It's that new Professor Lockhart. Senior Vivian slammed a Lockhart book on the table. Hold on, maybe there's a misunderstanding. It's all speculation, right? No one actually saw anything. After all, they hadn't interacted with Lockhart directly. And most students, especially the girls, still had a crush on the new professor. Besides, it seemed unlikely that a new professor would offend a head of house on his first day, right? They'd sooner believe some troublemaking student had done something and Lockhart just happened to be there. Yeah, guess there's no hard evidence, Vivian conceded. The news she got from a Gryffindor who had herbology that morning was suspicious, but not enough to definitively point the finger at Lockhart. Even though they couldn't pinpoint the culprit, Adam suggested they bake a cake for Professor Sprout as a consolation. They all made the cake base and decorated it. With Adam handling the fine details, everyone was thrilled with the final product, especially the fondant decoration in the center. Professor Sprout surrounded by badgers, looking at the cake. Mouths watered. No, can't eat it. This is for the dean, starred it. Dude, Adam, you could make a killing selling fondant cakes. Cedric stared at the tiny but lifelike Professor Sprout in amazement. Cedric, don't say things that threaten my future happiness. Bruce patted his stomach. Ever since he got hooked on Adam's cooking, his dessert intake had skyrocketed, but his gut was actually shrinking. This was just holiday weight. Bruce realized that if he could always eat Adam's food, he'd lose weight and have the perfect bod in no time. They delivered the cake to Professor Sprout's office, and the plump, gray-haired witch gasped, "Oh. Oh my goodness. This is for me." "Of course, Professor Sprout. We hope you're happy every day." Bernard, who usually had detention or was in handcuffs, was on his best behavior. Hufflepuff was the biggest house, but Professor Sprout always cared about each student. She paid special attention to Bernard, a Muggleborn, to make sure he felt at home at Hogwarts. Of course I'm happy every day, especially today. Professor Sprout beamed, took out her wand, and waved it. Let's eat it together. I can't possibly finish this cake on my own. She carefully removed the fondant figures for safekeeping. Everyone got a huge slice of cake, but there was still half left. I'll take the rest around to the other professors at dinner, so they can try it too. Professor Sprout used magic to reattach the fondant, clearly planning to show it off. While they ate, Bernard couldn't resist bringing up the elephant in the room. Professor Sprout, we noticed you didn't seem very happy on the first day of school. Did something happen? Oh. What? The first day, Professor Sprout thought back. What had she done that day? Oh, right. Harry Potter and Ron Weasley's flying car had wrecked the Whomping Willow. She'd splinted it, and then, she'd met Lockhart. Professor Sprout frowned. She remembered him showing off in class. She'd been happy for him at first, but after meeting him, she found him annoying. She didn't want to judge, but he almost messed up her treatment of the Whomping Willow. She knew why she was getting such a nice surprise today. Oh, it's nothing. I was just patching up the Whomping Willow. I felt bad about it being damaged. Professor Sprout smiled gently. Chapter 56 Love Card. A trial that suddenly begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back in the dorm, Cologne said, his face serious, it's gotta be Harry Potter and Ron Weasley who did it. Miles away in Gryffindor Tower, Harry and Ron suddenly felt a chill run down their spines and erupted into a sneezing fit. Nah, I don't think Professor Sprout meant it that way. It's more likely Lockhart. Remember what Vivian was asking about? Eugene suggested. They saw Professor Sprout and Lockhart together, and then Lockhart was bragging about how he helped Sprout treat the Whomping Willow. If Lockhart did it, Professor Sprout wouldn't call him out on it because of her personality, but she wouldn't lie either. That's why she said she was mad about the Whomping Willow. Uther nodded. So, the Whomping Willow being damaged was why Professor Sprout was ticked off, right? Bernard concluded. Eugene hesitated, a little worried about what might happen to Harry and Ron if this went on, especially since the twins were tight with them. Hey, where did Adam run off to just now? Beats me. Maybe something came up. I remember him saying on the train that Fox wasn't a big fan of the Chinese Phoenix food, so he was making some new stuff. Think he went to feed Fox? Could be. Seeing everyone's attention shift, Eugene breathed a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Adam was. Key that unlocks the dark powers, reveal your true form. I, Adam, bound to you, command you to break the seal. Because he found the incantation so embarrassing, Adam hadn't recited it since he figured out how to summon the Staff of Darkness directly, but this time was different. The Staff of Darkness appeared, and Adam raised it high. Xiaoka and Sibby materialized, standing on either side of him. Under their feet, a massive magic circle pulsed. Where their gazes met, in the air above them, a cloud card was solidifying. Didn't think the chance to merge the love card would come this soon. Xiaoka sighed. He'd imagined Adam being strong, but he still hadn't expected him to gather the love card in just a year. Adam's magic got a major boost over the break, Sibby observed, squinting. Seems like after that quick trip, his magic jumped levels when he got back. Could it be Adam snuck off and had some secret treats without us? Xiaoka asked, analyzing the situation with mock seriousness. Sibby's eyelids twitched, but even in this serious moment, he resisted the urge to smack Xiaoku. Under their watchful eyes, the love card finished taking shape, and the magic circle faded. Adam, exhausted, used the Staff of Darkness for support. Adam, Xiaoka and Sibby rushed to his side, letting him lean on them so he could catch the falling love card. This is the love card. Adam remembered it looking like a winged heart, but the card in his hand looked more like a kaleidoscope, almost like a magic card, but without the gem. Yep, that's your love card, Adam. Wanna give it a whirl and see what it does? Xiaoku asked, eyes wide with curiosity, but Sibby swatted him on the head. Adam just gathered the love cards. he's worn out. He needs to rest. It's not that bad. I actually feel my magic recovering pretty fast. Wait a sec, Adam suddenly remembered something and summoned the Book of Clow. The top card wasn't the tree card he'd put there last, but the nothing card. Xiaoku and Sibby's fur stood on end. They saw Adam reach out, and they yelled, "Adam, even with the love card, you gotta wait until you're back to full strength before messing with the nothing card. If it backfires, it's game over. Your whole existence could be erased, even time couldn't find you. The contract says the trial of the nothing card has begun. Don't worry, I'll be back soon." The moment Adam's fingers touched the nothing card, its light engulfed him. The Book of Clow fell to the ground with a thud, scattering the other Clow cards. Xiaoku and Sibby's pupils narrowed to slits. Ag! Adam got swallowed by the nothing card. And he didn't bring the Clow cards. Xiaoku shrieked, frantically grabbing at the Clow cards, trying to send them to Adam, but the Clow cards dodged his paws. "That's the nothing card. You want them to die too?" Sibby snapped, finally calming down. He whacked Xiaoku again. "Adam has the love card, that's enough. All we can do now is have faith in him." Inside the nothing card, Adam looked at the gray ground and the gray sky, stretching endlessly in every direction. "This is the trial of the nothing card," his voice echoed in the endless world. Adam tried to summon the Staff of Darkness, the Book of Clow, anything, but nothing worked. The nothing card is the opposite of everything, pure nothingness. Is it asking me to provide an answer to nothing? Adam tilted his head. "I think, therefore I am, the world didn't change. Come to think of it, why does nothingness have ground and sky? Even if it's all gray, shouldn't there be nothing?" As soon as he spoke, his vision vanished. Or maybe the nothing card had just erased the world, leaving him unable to see. "Wow, that's efficient." Adam clapped a few times, but there didn't seem to be any air around him. Only the vibrations in his own body made the sound of clapping, a little different than normal, so, the nothing card still needed to learn physics. If there was a vacuum, he should have exploded already, but that also meant he was actually undergoing a trial, not facing direct annihilation. The nothing card removing the scenery based on what he said meant it was paying attention to him. He had to follow the rules, and the nothing card had to do the same, instead of just attacking like it did to Sakura. That gave Adam some confidence. Next step, answering the nothing card's test. Before, when he tested the magic of his favorite card, the Book of Seals triggered a trial, so the answer this time was to discover the magic of his favorite card himself. Chapter 57 I Conquered Wupai. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Before Adam could unlock the love card's magic, he first needed to find it. He remembered holding both the love card and the dark staff, but they vanished when he arrived. Clearly, this was the no card's first challenge, but Adam wasn't worried. The love card wasn't just something I found. I created it myself, a card born from my own power. Adam recalled several times he'd felt the potential to create the love card. The first time was the night he signed the contract with the Book of Seals. He drew on memories and the love within his family. Another time, while playing with Caro and Soupy, fueled by the bond with his main pet, the friendship between them, and affection for the furry companions. Once, when studying magical plants with Professor Sprout, her smile and introduction to the guardian tree's botruckle stirred something within him. Then, after returning from the Forbidden Forest, during their late-night talk, he sensed it again, sparked by the camaraderie and affection between classmates. These were all times he passively felt the potential to condense the love card, moments when love surged within him. But did he only have a chance when he sensed this surge? Love doesn't disappear just because you don't see it. People filled with love are always surrounded by it. Once you felt it, you can't ignore it. Adam reached out. Though blind, he knew he grasped the love card he had created. He also understood why his love card was like a kaleidoscope. The love he drew upon when condensing it was so complex. When Sakura created her love card, she likely only thought of her love for Sioran, resulting in the winged, girly pink card. Finding the love card solved the first challenge, but now came the real test. facing nothingness with love, Adam pondered. Without the dark staff, he couldn't simply release the cloud card's magic. He had to discover the love card's power on his own. Random guesses were useless. He couldn't list all possible effects without a framework. Adam held the love card, lost in thought. Time passed, minutes, seconds. He didn't know. At first, his mind wandered, considering possibilities like Hancock's love fruit or the Shinigami's L, but those couldn't be the love card's power. Gradually, Adam couldn't think anymore. He felt nothingness encroaching. Here, light and darkness didn't exist, nor did earth, water, wind, or fire. Even the concept of time and space was absent. It was pure nothingness, the antithesis of everything. Under the relentless assault of nothingness, Adam was defenseless. It didn't actively attack. His strength was spent, so nothingness simply filled the void, or, perhaps, nothingness was simply the name for that void. This was the true challenge of the no card, akin to Sakura's test. Words were meaningless. Only actions could prove one's ability to resist nothingness. Sight was gone, and scent was useless. Hearing was unreliable when he lacked the strength to speak. Was taste still present? Probably not. Adam didn't even know if he still held the love card. Nothingness advanced to the last point, unable to go further. At that final point in his heart, something resisted the void, love. Those vibrant memories and emotions, like a kaleidoscope, appeared strangely bright in the gray world, influencing the nothingness in turn. It was as if he saw a girl with a sad expression smiling at him. Suddenly, reality flooded back, and Adam opened his eyes. He clutched the dark staff and two cloud cards. One was the love card he'd found, and the other was the no card. He'd conquered the no card. Wait, these two cards looked different. Adam! You're back, thought before he could examine them. Two large cats tackled him. As he opened his mouth to speak, he was attacked by wet tongues, forcing him to shut his mouth. Luckily, Caro and Soupy weren't exactly like lions or leopards. At least their tongues weren't barbed. How long was I in the trial? After Caro and Soupy calmed down, Adam stood and rubbed his face. He'd unconsciously tensed his face to avoid being licked. Caro and Soupy exchanged glances. We don't know, there's no clock here. Soupy glanced at the cloud cards on the ground and grabbed the time card. It's over, huh? Only 15 minutes. Really? Adam was surprised. It felt like he'd been with the no card for much longer. Nothingness. It's such a terrifying power. Adam sighed, picking up the love card and no card. Huh. They really are different. They still resembled cloud cards, but now they were distinct from the original cloud cards, which had been monotonous in color. The love card in Adam's hand was now filled with brilliant colors. The no card wore a gray dress, with silver white hair and wings, and a peaceful smile. As Adam stared in surprise, the no card suddenly opened her eyes, startling him. This is, she winked playfully. Adam, hello. Aya, Caro jumped back. The no card can talk. You didn't know? Adam asked. The no card wasn't under my control, how would I know? I've never even seen the no card before today. Are you the sealed beast? How rude. Of course I can talk, the no card huffed. But I've never spoken to anyone before. Anyone who touched me was instantly swallowed up. Except for the magician who created me, and you. The no card looked at Adam. You are very different. Do you remember Clow Reed? Adam asked. He'd asked Caro, Soupy, and the other Clow cards about him before. Caro and Soupy remembered him, but not his appearance or memories. The Clow cards only remembered their creator's name. I can't remember much, but there's a strong impression. She looked lost in thought. He was complicated, more colorful than everything, and more empty than me. Chapter 58 Adam Card, Lockhart Seeking Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. More colorful than anything, and even more messed up than a blank hand. Adam was still puzzling over that when Wupai threw up her hands. I only met him once, then got sealed away. Bummer. No biggie. Wupai grabbed the hem of her skirt and twirled around inside the card. Anyway, I got hit by that nothingness mojo, and I lost track of how long I was stuck. I'm way happier now that I'm free from the Clow card. Hold up, Wupai just dropped a bomb. Adam rubbed his forehead. First off, why did you get hit by the nothingness magic? Huh. It's pretty straightforward. What's so hard to get? Wupai struck her sad pose again. The nothingness magic is wicked strong. Even I couldn't dodge it. I was stuck in nothingness, feeling empty all the time. Her voice got all ghostly and lifeless, but perked right back up. It's totally different now. And you said you were freed from the Clow card. Oh. When the trial started, Crorido's seal broke, so my power went haywire. Oblivious to the shocked looks on Xiaoku and Si-Bai's faces, Wupai said casually. You're the one who used the power of love to pull me out of nothingness, so now I'm yours. Technically, I guess my name should be Adam Card now. Adam Card. Adam stared at Wupai, then at Ipai. The love card turned into the Adam card too. Yep, same deal with the love card. In that nothingness world, the love card you made yourself has no trace of Crorido left. So, I'm just turning all the Clow cards into Adam cards now. Adam thought this was moving way too fast. He hadn't even learned the magic on the Clow cards yet. And shouldn't there be a new sealing wand to transform the Clow cards? Isn't that up to you? Or is someone making you do this? Wupai tilted her head, a flicker of emptiness in her eyes. If they are, tell me. I'm still pretty good in a fight. You're the Clow card that could destroy the whole world, okay? Stop talking about that so casually. And what did you mean when you said Crorido's seal broke at the start of the trial? Xiaoku charged forward. Aren't you a sealed beast? Why are you asking me this stuff? I said what I said. Adam couldn't be sure if it was his imagination, but Wupai didn't seem quite as nice to Xiaoku, but Xiaoku's outburst refocused Adam, who'd been distracted by the Adam card. What if I fail the trial? Then, the endlessly growing void will probably swallow up this world. Wupai tapped her chin, thought for a sec, and then nodded like she was confirming something. Crowley was really good at this stuff. Adam clicked his tongue. Or, Adam, you could just figure he knew you'd pass the trial. Sibby tried to reassure him. No way to ask him, so don't stress about it. Sibby, scoot over while you're comforting Adam. Xiaoku suddenly spoke, reaching out to shove Si-Bai. Huh. Your shaky legs are making my back go numb, shut it. Meow ow. Watching Xiaoku and Si-Bai wrestling, Wupai looked confused. She always thought sealed beasts were smarter than this. Adam was silent for a moment, thinking Sibby had a point. Only Crolido knew the real deal, so he shouldn't overthink it. Just then, Adam noticed the Clow cards scattered on the ground. As he reached down to pick them up, the cards flew into the Book of Sealings one by one. The book floated into Adam's hand and settled there. What's this? Probably the love card. While Xiaoku and Si-Bai looked puzzled, Wupai spoke. Just guessing from my brief contact with it. The power of the love card seems to be around you all the time. The power of love cards? Adam didn't feel any magic around him, or he just didn't know what the love card did yet. The way no card put it, it sounded like a permanent magic card that didn't need activation. Seriously? Uther is practically royalty. Not wanting to dwell on it, Adam looked at Wupai, hesitant. Do you want to go into the Book of Sealings? It seemed that without card could move freely on the card surface. Would she be lonely locked in the sealed book? Haha, it's all good. I don't mind chilling alone. See you next time. Wupai smiled brightly, then slowly closed her eyes, as if she were being sealed. But a smile still played on her lips. Oh my god, it's hard to believe that's a terrifying unlicensed card. This time, after Adam put away the sealed book, Xiaoku couldn't help but say it, was her personality a little too normal? I think it's probably the love card's doing, right? Sibby glanced at Adam and guessed. Yeah, probably. Xiaoku nodded. Alright, you two should change back too. Adam looked at Xiaoku and Sibby and sighed, who would have thought making a love card would lead to all this? Never mind, let's deal with what's at hand, what's for dinner tonight. To make sure he was safe and undisturbed while condensing the love card, Adam had gone to the room of requirement. Coming out, it was a long walk back to the dorm. By the time he got there, it would be time to eat anyway, so Adam skipped going back to the dorm and went straight to the nearby headmaster's office to hang with Fox. He could meet everyone for dinner. At dinner, the vibe around the five friends was a little tense. Up at the teacher's table, Lockhart was holding Professor Sprout's cake and going on, making the other professors look annoyed. Did you hear? This afternoon, Lockhart got owned by a cage of Cornish pixies he brought to class, Uther whispered to Adam, who'd just joined them. And the test he gave us had nothing to do with defense against the dark arts. It was all about his books and his personal preferences. Worse than last year's defense against the dark arts class. Cologne kept complaining, at least Professor Quirrell's textbooks were normal, and reading from them was better than Lockhart's class. He's a total fraud. How dare he? Eugene stared wide-eyed at the teacher's table. Lockhart was laughing and grabbing a butter knife to hack apart Professor Sprout's badger cake toppers. Chapter 59 The Mysterious Power from the East, Lockhart returns. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh, sure, this just proves how popular you are with the students, right? I get gifts like this from my fans all the time. One time, the cake had fondant dancers. Professor Dumbledore frowned as Lockhart picked up the knife and subtly reached for the Elder Wand. But before he could react, Lockhart had already sliced into the cake, no matter, Dumbledore thought, he could fix it with a little magic, but the moment the knife went through, the fondant shifted, the cute little badger decorations morphed into green spheres, each growing fast. Professor Sprout, still in shock, stared. Why do those look so familiar? Like, miniature cabbages, in less than 3 seconds, the first miniature cabbage had reached full size and opened its mouth. Professor scrambled back from Lockhart, but he was too busy bragging about the cake to notice, to avoid seeming like he was deliberately cutting into the fondant. Professor Sprout, Lockhart hadn't looked at the cake at all. Now, that choice came back to bite him. Snap, star. The sound of something hard breaking was followed by a jolt of pain in Lockhart's hand. He looked down, face contorted, and saw a cabbage. Lockhart. His last memory was a blur of, dozens of cabbages hurtling towards him, jaws agape. Seeing the chaos at the head table, the magic circle in Adam's palm faded. Feel the power of the East, star. The enchanted card that transformed the fondant was something he'd found in Greenhouse 3. Who said magical plants didn't have flowers? And the flowers of those cabbages definitely had teeth. Adam briefly wondered how they pollinated, then decided he didn't want to know. I regret to inform you that Professor Lockhart will be in the hospital wing for at least 2 weeks while his nose regrows, so. Professor Snape, who'd swept the curtains closed, turned to face the class, a smirk tugging at his lips. Adam figured Snape was fighting the urge to laugh, too. Now, clear the debris from your desks and pay attention. Snape waved his wand, and a screen dropped in front of the class. After class, Bernard packed his things with a sigh. Snape's amazing. Why can't he teach defense against the dark arts all the time? Cedric mentioned that Snape's always wanted that job. Maybe because he's irreplaceable at potions. Adam said, organizing his notes. Plus, having professors double up like that would be insane. Can you imagine, that even if upper and lower years could take classes together, there were 4 houses and 7-year levels, 1 required course with professor gave 14 classes a week, but 2 classes would make 28. Who could bear this? Speaking of which, Adam, you're a legend. You made a munching sound come out of a cake. Cologne was cut off by Uther. Everyone but Lockhart probably guessed what happened anyway, but best not to say it out loud. Dumbledore had hauled Adam in for questioning, but accepted his explanation, something about anti-theft charms to protect Professor Sprout's fondant. Uther found the whole thing ridiculous, but Adam had looked so earnest when he'd said it. Who would suspect someone would cut into Professor Sprout? Dumbledore had been caught off guard, especially with Sprout standing right there. The case was closed. Dumbledore disposed of the mutant cabbages, sent Lockhart to the hospital wing, and repaired Sprout's fondant. She was so grateful, she gave him a huge slice of cake. Dumbledore, already feeling sheepish, returned to his office to find not one, but two forks, one made of fondant. The old headmaster, denied a bite of fondant Phoenix, thought back to the delicious cake and felt a pang of hunger. He began to wonder how big of a fondant banquet he could commission from Adam next time. Surely he could eat his own fondant, right? Despite everyone's hopes, Lockhart was back in less than 2 weeks, and so, Adam and his classmates braced themselves for their first defense against the dark arts class with Lockhart. "Students, I'm so glad to see you all." Lockhart's smile faltered when he saw Adam. He could practically feel the phantom pain in his nose. Still, he managed to maintain his Wizarding Weekly Most Charming Smile award-winning expression. "Ahem, let me introduce myself," belatedly. "Due to a slight mishap, I had to trouble my colleagues to cover for me, but I trust you've learned a bit about me, yes?" Lockhart rubbed his hands together, but saw none of his books on the desks. "I believe your textbook is my work this year." "Where are they?" The students exchanged glances, then looked back at Lockhart. "Professor Lockhart, you didn't tell us we needed them today." "Right." Lockhart's lips twitched. It was his first class back. How was he supposed to know? Finally, he managed to ask. "Then, what did you use for class while I was gone?" Were the other professors just teaching their own subjects during his time slot? "They used projectors and the chalkboard to teach us from the theory of defensive magic." The students replied. "Oh, well, yes, a standard text, but rather dry." Lockhart couldn't recall a thing about the theory of defensive magic. Hogwarts was a long time ago. But no matter. He didn't need it. "Trust me, you'll learn while having fun." Lockhart was grateful he'd brought his own books. He picked up a copy of Breaking with a Banshee and flashed a smile that matched the one on the cover. "Anyone volunteer to play the Banshee?" The Hufflepuffs and Slytherins, waiting for the real class to start. Chapter 60, a story written for you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dumbledore's lost it. Why can't he hire a normal defense against the dark arts professor? "I wish my dad would fire that idiot." Draco spat the words out, pushing past Adam and the others, his goons trailing behind him. They didn't even seem to notice, watching him go. Adam sighed. Poor kid. Whatever Draco thought he was getting into when he agreed to perform, all the best parts ended up with Lockhart. Draco, stuck playing the wailing female ghost, was basically just running away the whole time. Seriously, are we all gonna turn into drama queens in the next defense against the dark arts class? Cologne's face was a picture of misery. I'm afraid so, unless... Uther glanced at Adam, unless Adam landed Lockhart in the hospital wing again, which wasn't likely. Lockhart had pushed it too far the first time, and the professors wouldn't let it slide again. Cologne wasn't the only one at Hogwarts feeling this way. It was tough to compete. After being taught by a dark arts master, a dueling champion, a transfiguration expert, and a walking encyclopedia of magical creatures, even Lockhart's biggest fans were struggling to pretend he was a good teacher. Professor Lockhart knows so much, so it's understandable that he's not great at teaching, someone offered weakly. If you can't teach, then don't be a professor. Hearing that, Adam started to wonder. Had he actually helped Lockhart's reputation by keeping him out of commission for a couple of weeks? What do you guys even like about Lockhart? Adam asked one weekend in a common room, trying to interview the die-hard Lockhart supporters. Professor Lockhart is so talented. If you really read his books, you'd know he couldn't write like that without real-life experience. His adventures are so awesome. He's a living legend. I think Professor Lockhart just isn't good with words, but he's still super powerful. Professor Lockhart has the most charming smile. Okay, so aside from the few fangirls, most of Lockhart's remaining fans were hooked on his stories. Everyone knew you couldn't fake memories, so the unbelievably real experiences in his books had to be true. The logic wasn't completely insane. Adam had heard stories of authors whose spy novels were so realistic they were outed as actual spies, but this was a world of magic, not just logic, so, how do you beat magic? Like Dad always said, fight fire with fire. Or, in this case, use magic to defeat magic. He went to the room of requirement again, this time asking for a private space to create. The room transformed into a brightly lit study. Adam pulled out a creation card with a star on it and a book, placing it on the desk. The dark staff appeared in his hand. Release. No flashy effects, just the original card, the book, materializing on the table. Creation cards turned stories into reality, even the fictional stuff. He only summoned it once before to familiarize himself with it because the writing had to be ongoing, and the effects vanished when he stopped. But now, this card was perfect. Glancing at the alarm clock, Adam knew Lockhart's class was starting. He opened the book and picked up the quill. So, Professor Lockhart likes writing novels, huh? Let's see how he likes my story. After all, this is a story written for you. The quill flowed across the paper without needing ink, and in Lockhart's classroom, subtle changes began to occur. Brrr, Ron shivered and looked at Harry. You feel that? It's kinda chilly. Probably just the temperature dropping, Harry mumbled, looking miserable. He was still paying the price for flying that car to school. He hadn't been expelled, but he'd gotten detention with Lockhart and spent all night writing fan mail replies for him. He still hadn't recovered. Maybe that's why Lockhart, who usually dragged Harry on stage at every opportunity to bask in his reflected glory, picked someone else this time. Today, we'll be recreating a pivotal moment from my battle with the Wanluan Banshee. Pay close attention to my technique. Lockhart flashed a dazzling smile and turned to Neville. Don't be scared, just follow the instructions in the book. Lockhart's smile froze, a slow grin spread across the expressionless face of the female ghost standing right in front of him. Adam had never seen a ghost. He based his version on book descriptions, so he conjured something like a ghost nun or a creature from a horror movie. It was far more terrifying than a real ghost. Lockhart had never seen a real ghost either, and his heart skipped a beat when he saw the Wanluan Banshee. With its black eye circles, white pupils, and grin that stretched back to its ears revealing jagged black teeth, it was truly disturbing. Whoa! Harry, check it out. He's really selling it today. Ron nudged Harry's arm, excited. He actually looks like he's seen a ghost. Harry glanced up. Lockhart's acting had definitely improved. He was giving Neville, who looked petrified, a look of genuine terror. Why hadn't he ever been this dedicated when performing with him? Was Lockhart deliberately trying to be annoying? Ron wasn't the only one who noticed something was up. Lockhart's loyal fans were watching with bated breath. Could it be that Professor Lockhart was finally going to show them what he was really made of? There's a ghost. Lockhart's scream was sharp and twisted. He actually jumped, startling Neville. From Lockhart's perspective, the Wanluan Banshee's lank, greasy hair began to float. The Banshee raised its hands, shimmered, and reappeared closer to him.